So I had the accident, almost died. My house got burned out.
Burned down while you were in the house. Today, for the very first time, Roslan will share his story with the world on Schouders Eronder. Just a year ago, at only 22, Roslan burst into the spotlight. The world watched along as his Muay Thai videos and glimpses into his dynamic lifestyle took the internet by storm. How did a young man, once discarded by society and forced to find shelter on the streets, now travel the globe and find himself ready for his first professional fight? Prepare yourself for a tale of inspiration, discovery, and determination. This is Roslan's story.
After many requests, I'm finally here sharing my story. The reason that I waited this long is because...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Schouders Eronder. Normally it's a Dutch podcast, but today we will do it in English because we have a very, very special guest. Before we start, subscribe, like, and leave a reaction into the comments, and then we can make it a really good episode again.
Let's go. All right.
Roslan.
Thank you for having me, Daan.
Welcome, man.
Yeah, I'm very excited. This is my first podcast.
Yeah.
After many requests, I'm finally here sharing my story. The reason that I waited this long is because I didn't have a clearance of how my life exactly went and why it went that way, and how I came in this position. And now I'm finally on a level that I can, recognize all the mistakes and all the things that happened in my life and how I came on this position. So yeah, I'm finally ready to share my story.
All right. Let's start from the beginning of your story.
Okay.
Tell me.
The beginning of my story. Well, obviously it started when I was 17. I think at the end of 17, something like that. And I had this big ambition of traveling the world and everything, and growing up in a culture of Arabic culture where everything has been thought of, in our culture, you're a failure already if you didn't become a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, and I had this big dream of traveling the world and building my online agency and making money online. So you can imagine that comes as a big shock to your parents because they thought, okay, the education system, you're gonna finish school, you're gonna go to university, they're gonna, talk good about you through all the family and everything. But I never found that, the path that I wanted to go through. And eventually, it came down to I really wanted to follow my dreams in that, build up my online business, travel the world and everything. And they just, couldn't really go along with it. So at some point, I decided to go outside of the house. I remember myself sleeping in stations of, it was in Antwerp in Belgium, going from friend to friend, then sleeping at my brother's house on the couch, and like the craziest stories of I think the craziest 6 months of my life, just like surviving and trying to figure out my life. How am I gonna manage it? How am I gonna grow from this? And that's basically how I came to Iman Gatsi, and this is obviously, I think, one of the biggest gurus, let's say it that way, on the time of period we live in today. And he had this method of how you can build your marketing agency, how you can run ads for clients. That was basically my first business model that I tried. And the first escape possibility that I saw for myself, because at the same time in the 6 months I was working like I think 9 hours every single day from 12 p.m. until 9 in the morning, sometimes 11 in the morning at the fabric. After that, I would come home, I would sleep 4 or 5 hours, then I would travel 2 or 3 hours with the train to the nearest gym, because at my brother's house we were like at this place, like a farm place, there was middle of nowhere. There was like no gym, no city at all, like. So it was 3 hours traveling every day to the nearest gym, training, trying to get my body in shape, my mind sharp. And from that I came home, and I think I was left like with 5 hours, 6 hours, before I would have to go to my next working shift. In those 5-6 hours, I didn't have any money, to buy a course, to start a program one-on-one. So the best escape what I could do is find the like illegal kind of courses online, you know, like research them and doing my best to find some footage on YouTube, etc. So I was like basically finding any escape to get that free knowledge because I didn't have the money for it, and I was making like what, $150, maybe $200 a week. That's it, by working so incredibly hard in that fabric. And from that, yeah, you can imagine like food, traveling to transport to the fitness, to the gym, all that stuff. You won't be left with a lot of money after that. So yeah, basically I tried to get as much as free knowledge as possible, and from that I was building like every single day. I think for 3 months straight I did nothing except that routine, you know, and I didn't change it a day because that pain that I had of, okay, I'm all alone, I have to figure out something for my life. I'm at my brother's house, you know, I'm here, like I have no future. I'm not on school. I stopped school. I have no contact with my family because I kind of abandoned them in their eyes, you know, because I didn't follow their path, their, you know, road of culture, and you have to be an engineer and doctor and lawyer. And yeah, in that loneliness, in that pain, in that, you know, that you just been thrown in, you have to build something out of your life. And I think generally every single person who experienced that is the best thing ever, because until this day I'm so grateful that it happened to me, because I would never ever be on this position that I am in right now. If you would ask me like 4 years ago or 5, hey man, you're gonna be driving Lamborghinis, you're gonna be fighting with the best fighters in the world, you're gonna be you know, having over millions of like 100 millions of views on socials and all that kind of stuff, and be so respected by the biggest influencers and all these things. If you would tell me that I would be on this position 5 years ago, I would clear you for crazy. I'll be like, no, impossible, you know, because coming from that bottom, it's just like, you can imagine that for yourself. I would be even happy only with like 5K a month and just be somewhere in Bali on that position 5 years ago. Yeah. But now, like I said, from the deepest bottoms, you know, are the biggest successes created, like the biggest ones, you know, and yeah, I'm very happy that happened.
Why do you think it happened to you?
I think because I had that urge so much in myself to escape. And I remember one day I just told myself, no matter what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna make this decision when I'm like 25 or 30 years old or something. I wanted to do it on 17 because it was screaming from inside. I was seeing all these people living their lives, being in tropical places, being on the scooter or coconuts, you know, just making money online, no system, no matrix, no, you know, slave of a 9 to 5, just like being free. And you know, my whole life growing until I was like 17, I didn't have that freedom. I was always like urging to that freedom. Maybe my parents, I saw them maybe like 6-7 years in my life, you know. All the other years I was always like alone. And my auntie, I was growing up in Algeria. I wasn't accepted in both areas. You can imagine, I was in Algeria they were seeing me as that Dutch guy, and then when I came to Holland, they were seeing me as that Algerian guy, because I wasn't like mastering any language in both sides. So yeah, like I said, I was urging that freedom so much, and when I was 17, I just hit that button that I had to go and give everything. You know, I just told myself, no matter what happens, no matter how far I go, this is my dream. I wrote it down and I have to reach it. Not in 5 years, not in 10 years. I want to do it now, like everything. You know, because a lot of people, you know, they don't understand the value of time. Like time is so precious. It doesn't come back anymore. And my biggest fear was just like discovering this when I was like 30 years old, 40 years old, and wasted like 10 years of my life, 15 years of my life, trying to live a life of, you know, the way others wanted me to live it, you know? And just, yeah, that wasn't just like the way I wanted to live my life. All right, guys, before we continue, like and subscribe, leave in a comment what you thought about the podcast, and enjoy further.
And after those to 3 months. You said like I was in a strict routine. I didn't do anything else. What happened after those 2 to 3 months?
Yeah, it was crazy because I remember 2-3 months dedicated to my religion, dedicated to my work ethic, dedicated to my dream. I was just like giving 100%, man, like maybe even more than that every single day for 3 months straight. And I didn't have a timeline for myself. I didn't say like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, I'm working so hard for 2 or 3 months. Like, oh, now it has to come, otherwise I will give up. I didn't have a limit anymore. At some point, I believe if your dedication is your determination is hard enough, failure won't win you. Like it's just like you just go all the way and you have no limits. You don't have any stop. You're not saying to yourself, okay, in 3 months I want to be successful. You just gotta say to yourself, no matter how long it will take me, at some point you will get on that position. And that was my mindset. So yeah, after 3 months I bought my first car, like brand new. I think I was like 30K, something like that. You can imagine from someone who was making $150 a week to spending $30,000 on a car was just like incredible. Doing that, I just saw like so much possibility. I built up a course, my own course, instead of like finding illegal courses, watching YouTube videos. Started helping people after mastering myself how to build an online business and get freedom from that.
What online business was it?
So like I said, I started with social media marketing agency, and from that came Corona, and I switched to dropshipping.
Yeah, all right.
So from that I started dropshipping. From dropshipping I started my brand. From branding I started my social media. From social media I started my fitness journey and all that. So I was like, it was so crazy because every single month I was switching it. I was like, can you imagine someone who's working like almost 18, 17 hours a day? For a month long, you just, you come so fast to that peak, like to that top of the mountain. Yeah. And then you're just like, okay, I reached everything now. I want to do something different. And then I switched it to something different every single month. And yeah, that's how it went from there. And yeah.
How did it feel to buy the first 30K car after you worked for like a long period of time for $150 a week?
Honestly, I've had like a lot of cars. I drove a lot of cars. But that first car, the Volkswagen Golf 7, like crazy, bro. I can't even imagine, like crying in that car the first moment that I bought it and drove it, like my first drive. Crying and just seeing myself like, is this for real? Just like 3 months, super hard working, being on the street, struggling for like 6 months, and then bam, you're in that 30K car, and everyone around you is just telling you you're crazy, you cannot be that, and you cannot reach those goals, and you can't, all these things. And after being on that moment, I was always imagining myself, having a car, making more than 10K a month, being financial free, traveling the world. But in that moment, driving your first car, going into your first trip, making your first 10K, guys, everything that you have imagined, when you reach it, is going to be 100 times better than that. And that's my experience.
Amazing. How did your parents respond to that after you were making more money than you would have done in the other way, what they wanted?
Well, obviously they were like insanely proud of me. But also they had like a lot of regret. But I can understand that.
For doubting you.
Yeah, for doubting me. And I don't blame them at all. Like in the beginning, I was this Ross, like growing up, so much hatred. Oh, my family doesn't believe in me. Shit, I have to prove them, screw everyone. I don't want to be like I'm going to be successful on my own. Just I built up my success by hatred, And growing up now, I just realized that the way of growing is just doing it by love and understanding. Though my parents didn't grow up the same way all the other people grew up. They grew up in a country where they are taught, where they are programmed. Okay, school. engineer, doctor, lawyer. That's the only possibility of becoming successful in this world. That's the only security that you have. And you can't blame them. You know, you can as even for all the young guys now grinding, and especially in an Arabic culture or some in an African culture or whatever, you know. If your parents are like, you know, very strict, not believing in you, doubting you, don't blame them. Like, understand from their perspective, because they don't know any better. They're just programmed that way, and that's how they grow up. But the only thing you can do is just show them, you know. Don't talk anymore. Don't, you know, don't argue with them. Don't, just do your way, give it all, and you will show them. Your time will come. You will shine, you know. So
I think like the difference between those generations is so big, especially with social media and making money online. It's something from like the last 10 years, and you don't have to expect from your parents like that they understand you the way you look at the world and they look at the world, because you have things you don't understand about them as well, as they don't understand things that you are working on or something like that.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. Yeah, and it's just like every person has his path, you know. And when you look at society, your kid is like literally 9 hours a day at school, you know, then 3 hours with his friends, you know, growing up from his childhood, and then maybe like 3-4 hours a day he's like with you as a parent. How can you say with such an arrogant way, you know, like an ego, oh, I know my son so good, I know exactly what he has to do, I know his future, I want the best for him. You don't want the best for him, you just want the best for you, like in most cases, you know. And the best way to do it, just like Elon Musk, if you look at him, he basically like designed a school, like a special school just for his children, and he placed the teachers and told them to focus only on their passion and let them grow the furthest in their passion, you know.
Really?
So, yeah. So, you know, in the school system, you can be like super talented in football or super talented in being a judge or a lawyer, you know. But you get all the other things, you know, like you get bullied at school, you get like math, you get like, I don't know, like economy, like all these things that don't have to do anything with your passion, the thing that you can be the best in. You know, those things in most cases can make you cut, you know, your education or your passion. You know, they can block you from reaching that goal, reaching that highest best in something. And yeah, the way Elon Musk just designed it is, okay, you got teachers, you got your kids, I want you to focus on what they are the best in, you know. And yeah, that's the way they can become the best. And
capabilities.
Yeah, it's a very healthy way to do it, and maybe I'll do it for my children as well.
Hey, and from that point, you bought a car, the first one. Is that also the one you got the big accident in? Yeah. So fast success builds fast ego, and I definitely witnessed that. You know, I experienced it so much. After reaching that success, you know, after 3 months and grinding, blah, blah, I came, you know, I'm not perfect. People see me like living my religion life, living, you know, healthy and having a good mindset and being successful. Like that came from a very dark place, guys. And it doesn't always have to be like that. But in my case, I didn't have the best surrounding when I reached that success, you know. After that, I just came in a very bad path. I was doing bad things. I was going with bad people, and I was getting punished all the time. You know, I was just like getting it pushed in my face. So I had the accident, almost died. My house got burned out, almost died as well. Burned down while you were in the house.
Yeah. So it burned when I was in the house. I remember like just like being in front of the big fire and seeing all my memories, seeing all the, you know, posters and teddy bears and everything that I grew up with, you know, just getting burned. And yeah, basically, like I said, I had to fall so many times on my face. And it's so funny because every time you go to the bottom and you reach a certain success and then it gets taken away from you, you always get back to God, you know. You always get back to, okay, now I have nothing anymore. The only thing I have to God, you know. And I saw myself going in a catapult, you know, like I was going up and then down, up and then down. And I, on both sides, like being on the bottom and being on the top, I saw like a big difference. On the bottom, I had God. I was always like, you know, reminding myself, oh, Allah, praying 5 times a day, even like 6 times, doing Fajr, the morning prayer. And then once I was climbing, and for everyone, guys, like be aware of this climb. You're climbing, you reach a certain level, the top, success, and then bam, you just get blinded, you lose everything, you're not praying anymore, you forget the person, your creator who gave you all those things you were praying for. You just forget him on the top, and you're like blinded. Oh, let me get those parties, let me buy this fast car, let me go with those girls, let me use some drugs. Like all these things come on the top, and then bam, until the position that you lose everything, you go down, and then you get God again. And you have to witness this a couple times in your life until you figure the real success of the real success in life. And that is not only remind yourself and remember God on the bottom, but also on the top. Then you're like in the 1% of the people. If you manage to be faithful, to be, reminding yourself of God, praying, all those things and stuff on the top, then you made it. In my eyes, it doesn't matter if you're driving a Lamborghini. It doesn't matter if you have like 10 houses. It doesn't matter if you're like the most Googled man on the planet. If you're not, respectful, humble, and faithful to your Lord, to your Creator, the power that gave you all these things that you have in life, then you are not successful. And in my eyes, so.
So what did the car accident and burning your house down, what did it do for you? What changed? Is it like only the vision you had on God and praying 5 times a day? Was that the only thing that changed your perspective of things, or were there more things that changed for you?
Definitely religion. You know, it changed a lot in religion. It changed a lot in my personality as well. I think most likely in my religion and also the way I wanted to live my life. You know, I was like planning for the next 6 months. And from those moments that all these accidents happened, I start planning for the next 5 years until 10 years. You know, so my vision. Yeah, a bigger vision, more structure, more discipline. You know, and yeah, that changed a lot for me after those bad times.
And tell me something more about like the religion, because like I'm not into a religion or anything like that. Why is it so important for you? What does it do for you? I think for some people meditation and praying can be the same thing if you don't are really into a religion or something like that, because I think you're closing your eyes and you don't think of anything and just go back to your breathing, and for you it's like praying. Tell me, what does it bring you in your day on a daily basis?
So definitely it brings you the energy that you're on the right path. You know, so you have the most insane and highest trust in life. You know, no matter what happens, when you have faith, when you have trust in your God and you have belief, you just know that things don't go wrong. And even if they go wrong in life, you still would see that as something going well. You know that, okay, this has been taken away from me for a greater good, you know? And it's just like so much peace inside that you can just peacefully sleep and wake up, you know? But also like, people, you have so much discipline in life. You have so much gratefulness. You have so much humbleness. You have so much of a community, of a brotherhood. You have so much, less fear, less concerns. You just have a lot of trust in the bright future, and that's definitely what changed a lot for me.
Interesting, because I think like a lot of things in a religion come down to the things that everything happens for a reason, for the greater good, like you just said. And that's something what happened in my life as well. Like my father died 5.5 years ago.
Wow.
And
Didn't know that.
yeah, that's where the podcast is all about as well.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah.
Okay, I should have watched the podcast.
No, it doesn't matter. It's all good. It's all good. But I always had the feeling, because I my parents always had a company, and I would take it over when I was grown up and all that kind of stuff. But because of my father died, he had ALS from the ice bucket challenge. It wasn't gonna happen anymore.
Yeah.
So I walked into the online world, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. And I wouldn't have it. Like, of course, I would rather have him here for sure. That's something that there's no doubt about. But I wouldn't. I couldn't do the things I'm doing right now if he was still alive, probably, because then I had taken over the company and would not work online. Yeah. So those things are so. Sometimes I feel like, do I really want to think this is why it happened, or? Yeah. But it also gives you some sort of rest as well. Like, absolutely, it happened. It's really fucked up. I would have had him here way more than the other way around. But it happened, and you have to deal with it. And it gives you a sort of peace, like you said, like the religion can do as well.
You always have to believe that it happened for a greater good, man. Yeah. Like, what would your father have rather? Being in your life, and then you becoming a drug dealer, for example, or him just like not being in your life, taking his rest, and for his son to be such as successful and handsome as he is today. You know, I think every father would take his own life just to have his child being successful, healthy, and surrounded with the right people.
Yeah. It's strange to think. It's strange to think some days, but it's good. All right, back to your story. After that, the car accident happened. Your house burned down. You got more like into a better structure, better rhythm, more focused, bigger vision.
I booked my first trip to Bali.
All right, amazing. What happened?
That was like my first trip ever, you know. So after that, I had to escape. You know, I was like so surrounded by bad people, you know. And it's true, you are the result of the 5 people you surround yourself with, and it's so cliche, but it you can't help it. Like, honestly, guys, no matter how disciplined you are, no matter how strong you think you are, if the 5 people around you are, you know, a bad influence, are not eating healthy, are using drugs, are not praying, are, you know, procrastinating, all these things, 100% that you will become the 6th, you know? So the only way to escape from that is just like, you know, going to a different environment, just changing your environment, just saying no, just locking yourself up, or, you know, change location like I did. So from that moment, when I was surrounded by so many bad people, I was like, okay, I can stick with them, and the dominoes of my things, the bad things in my life going, can continue, or I can break it right here when I was like 19. I can break it off. I can book my first flight. I remember I lost so much money. I went like with my last 3K to Bali, you know. I had like so much ups and downs, but that's life. And I went with my last 3K, you know, after so many downs to Bali. And I saw all these people living such, you know, healthy life, working on their self-development. And I always had that urge in me, right? So to develop myself. And I was like, okay, no matter what, I have my last 3K. No matter what happens, even if I belong on the streets in there, it will always be better than being here with the bad people around me, you know, here. So yeah, I booked my first flight to Bali. I remember that was the second time that I cried of my success, you know, because I saw myself like, you know, for some people, they just created such a thick wall for themselves, you know, and to break through that, it's just like you have to have like so much power in you, you know, because if everyone around you is saying no, you can't get that goal, you cannot be there, you cannot travel, you cannot be successful, you cannot make so much money a month through online businesses, then, you know, it's so hard for yourself to break through that and go through, you know, follow your own belief and follow your own feeling. And yeah, once I did that, I was in the plane going to Bali. I started crying. I was like, damn, this is it. You know, I'm going to change my life. And there it started, man. came to Bali, first 2 days, never been as happy as those 2 days in my life, even if when I was like in that car. Those 2 days when I was like in a total different environment, like palm trees, super nice people. The first 2 weeks, I couldn't even believe that the people were like so honest and so nice.
Yeah, it's unbelievable there, man.
Yeah, so coming from a surrounding of bad people and stuff, when I came to Bali, I was like, damn. The first 2 weeks, I was just like, is this for real? Like, are these people really like this? Do they need something from me? Or, I really, bro, I was like,
that's a Dutch way of thinking.
Yeah. I was just like not believing it. It wasn't like real for me.
Yeah.
And then after 2 weeks, man, I was so happy and such in a trusted environment, just feeling so safe. I think everyone in life just needs to feel safe, and I finally got that feeling. And from that safe environment, I started building, I was surrounded by such high value people, high value men, masculinity, people who were striving for greatness, people who were lifting you up.
Everybody is fit as well.
Everyone is so fit, sick, like what they say, like a sharp mind is just like so crucial in life. And and then I started building, man. And from that, it was just like up.
What did you start building?
From there, I was my coaching, my brands. I was lifting them up from there. My network, man. I, met some very great people in there that absolutely changed my life as well. I built up my coaching company with e-com, helping people one-on-one, and also launching a new course in there. So I built a new course. Started self-development a lot, started taking quiet moments and thinking about why everything went the way it went, like for the past 2-3 years. And just structuring and being more in the moment instead of just living in the past, And that's what it definitely changed for me.
I think the thing you just said about like thinking why things happened the way they happened is so important, to look back at it and take a moment for yourself and journaling and all that kind of stuff. What did you find out when you were like taking time for yourself and reflect on those 2-3 years? What happened to you and why did it happen to you?
So it comes down to one thing. I can give like a very bright answer, but it comes down to one thing. And that was just that all the hate that I was building on, I just transferred to love, It's just like, you cannot build everything on hate, bro. Like, you will get maybe a couple steps further, but you won't live far. You won't come far. And just changing that perspective of doing everything in love, understanding from different perspectives from people why they are doing that, just leaving everyone in their zone, just not blaming anybody except yourself. That absolutely changed me and gave me that peace and growth that I needed in life. Yeah.
That did Bali do to you?
Yeah, that did Bali do to me, absolutely.
Nice, man. And how old were you then? Is it at 19 or 20?
19, 20, something like that, yeah. Between 19 and 20, yeah.
And how long did you stay in Bali?
I stayed, I think, probably for 6 or 7 months, yeah.
It's a long time, man.
Yeah, that's a long time.
I can imagine that Bali changed your life if you've been there for so long. I've been there for like 3 to 4 weeks, 2 years ago.
That was my plan at first when I went to Bali.
It was... like what you said, the people are so nice. Even they have nothing there. If you go in your scooter there, you're just touring, you see all the poor, there are a lot of poor people there, but they're smiling like the whole day. Same as in South Africa. You've been there as well, right?
Yeah, I've been to South Africa.
To the poor areas of Cape Town as well, but the people are so happy, without they have a roof. They don't have a roof, and they're smiling the whole day. They don't care, walk on barefoot all day with glass and all that kind of stuff on the ground. But it's
the only thing in South Africa, what I really like South Africa, but the only thing why I like Bali a little bit more, is because there is no levels there. There is no difference between rich and poor. There are no Lamborghinis. There are no Ferraris. Everyone is on a scooter.
Yeah,
that's
it.
True. Everyone is paying the same meal, the same amount. Everyone is living, almost in the same house. Maybe you have a bigger villa, and the other one has a room or an apartment, but you couldn't even see that, you know. So everyone was just like treated equal, and you didn't feel like, oh, I'm less than that one, that's somebody, or I'm more than him or whatever. So that's basically definitely something that I really admire about Bali. Only one thing I would say is that Bali, and this is very interesting, you know, this is very interesting. Bali is a very good place to find yourself, you know, find yourself, to create that peace, to plan ahead, etc. But it's not a place to grind, you know.
I totally agree with
It's
that.
not a place to grind, you know. It's not a place where you can like settle yourself and build up the. Maybe you can put those fundamental things, you know, for your business, the basics, you know. But to go to the next level, you know, to go to $1 million a month, to 100K, to 10K a month or whatever, is definitely not a good place. And why? It's because the time difference is so big.
Yeah,
you know,
I that's why I liked South Africa more.
South Africa is 1 hour, you know. So South Africa is definitely for your work ethic. I would recommend it to everyone. But yeah, Bali is just like so big time difference, and you know the Wi-Fi is not always like the best.
Wi-Fi is terrible. Like,
I'm sorry guys, but like everything's so perfect there, but except these things for a digital nomad,
I agree.
it's just like the Wi-Fi, the 7 hours time difference, and also the really vacation vibe that you get there. You know, you don't really get like, oh, I have to work so hard, blah blah blah.
Also because it's cheap, like you can live there with the money you saved, or without less income. So that's also
absolutely. You know, so that's one thing, one advice I would give to everybody, that if you want peace, go to Bali. If you want to find yourself, but if you want to create a business and you want to lift it up to from 6 figures to 7 or 8, Bali is, in my opinion, not the place to do it.
Do you think Thailand is, or because it's the same time zone, I think, or is it?
Thailand is 1 hour less.
Right, still 6 hours difference.
So it's still 6 hours difference. In the winter times, it's 5 hours difference. So I find it quite doable in the winter times. Mostly, I'm also in the winter times in Thailand. So 5 hours is just like, you know, quite doable. Yeah. But it's just like Thailand is very. It's quite different because, you know, everything is just like so easy there to get, and it's not so crowded as in Bali, you know, and it's just not that much of a vacation vibe in there. You know, I find Phuket, for example, you know, is quite a good base to work from. Like my businesses that I scaled from, you know, 5 figures, 6 figures to 7 figures, I did them all like in Phuket in Thailand. For me, it worked like really well because I wasn't surrounded by a lot of distractions. I wasn't surrounded by crowded places, and just the weather is good. And for me, it just worked well. But in Bali, I just get like such a vacation vibe, you know, and maybe that 1 hour or 2 doesn't seem a lot of time difference, but it is, you know, like it quite is.
Yeah, I agree with that. So from there on, you said like in Phuket, I scaled my businesses to 5, 6, 7 figures. So what was the biggest change you made to hit those 5, 6, 7 figures instead of 4, for example?
My belief. So I started working on my limiting beliefs. I started doing masterminds. I started reading more and more books. Started, you know, watching a lot of things on YouTube. Also, even my health, you know, like the things that I would take in, the things that, the way, on simple things, the way to sleep, for example. Like I was just focusing on all those small things, you know. And before I was always thinking like, okay, if I just eat something healthy, it's already good, you know, and if I get like 6 hours of sleep, that's already good. But after I started like focusing on all the small things, because eventually those small things create a big thing together, you know, and changing my limiting beliefs is just like, you know, I was doing NLP and reprogramming my mind and my beliefs and all these things, you know. From that moment, I just went so fast from 5 figures to 6 and then 6 to 7, just by the way of thinking, just by the way of talking to myself and believing, you know. So yeah, I think a lot of people, they are taught a certain way, you know, and they have like a barrier in their life. For example, even if it's like a certain amount of money in your bank account, for example, you know, you just, let's say you hit 100K. Okay, you have 100K in your bank account, and some people, they find themselves like, no matter how hard you try, if you're programmed to not, if you're programmed that 100K is the maximum that you can get out of yourself, no matter what you do and how much you try, if you go to 110K, you will bounce back again to 100K, maybe even below it, 90K, and then 100K, and then 110K. You really have to know that you have to reprogram yourself and believe that you're worth to get that million. You're worth to get that 5 million. You're possible, you have it in you to get that 10 million. And that's just the way that I started thinking, and changed everything for me, because I was always bouncing on the same amounts. I was always bouncing on the same clients, and I wasn't like really growing because I didn't believe that I deserved it. It was just like such a comfort zone for me. It was such an uncomfort, for me to grow from that level that I was used to,
Interesting.
Yeah.
But you're gonna think differently, but from there on, you have to act differently as well.
Yeah.
What specific actions did you do different on a daily basis than you did in the past?
That's a good question.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. What actions did I do more? Well, I definitely worked harder. Every time that I wanted to stop, before, I just pushed a little bit more, Every time that I wanted to take a cheat day, I just skipped it. And one very big thing that changed everything for me, guys, I forgot to say this actually, is semen retention. So
what is it?
Semen retention is, I think, the number two, because religion is definitely number one in it, like number one, and then number two is semen retention. And if you manage to do this, you already belong to the 0.1% of men. It's a sacrifice, and I believe in sacrifices. The more sacrifices you take in life, the more doors will open for you. And semen retention is basically, a lot of fighters do it before a fight, maybe 2 months before a fight. They don't ejaculate, they don't come for, let's say this roughly. And by keeping that semen in yourself, bro, it's just like, it changes everything for you, man. The first 2-3 weeks, you'll be like fighting it so much, you have this urge and stuff. But after those 3 weeks, and you go to those 90 days, you just become like so creative. Your body just like heals so much faster than normal from all those workouts. You get so focused, so disciplined. You're not talking to any girls anymore. You're not wasting time, all that time on watching porno or talking to women or anything. You're just putting it into your business or into your goals. And I think that this is definitely something that made me blew up in business, in socials. I went so fast. Like, people still are saying, like, how did you go from like 20K to over 1 million followers, and it basically came with the biggest sacrifice that men can do these days. And that's just like keeping your semen every single day. Until, I did it. I was almost a year in. I just, kept it. Now I'm again like going into it half year. I just read a study that you have to do it like 90 days. And then after 90 days, you have to, if you're married or anything, you have to, do your thing and then like start again, like from zero. But I just feel like for now comfortable just keeping it in and keeping that discipline, because I'm just in love with the uncomfort, bro. Like, everything that comes in my way, like, oh, this is so hard, this is so uncomfortable, I really want to do it. Sometimes I even like, people put like a cheat meal in front of my eyes, or, I get this like very bad opportunity or anything, and I put always myself in a position that I'm almost gonna do it, but I always don't do it, And I see that as a way of growth. I see that as a way of discipline. Every time on the edge, you just take a step back. You're almost going to do it. You're almost going to do it. You're going to fail in something and you take a step back, And that just creates, like David Goggins says, like an armor plate, and
Where does that hunger, where does it come from? Because you didn't follow the path your parents want you to follow.
Yeah.
And you're currently searching for the uncomfort.
Yeah.
Where does that
age? I think age.
Yeah,
I think
really?
time.
Yeah?
So I'm pretty young. A lot of people, they think it's always the same. He's 30, 31, 35. But I just turned 23. And
So sick.
it's honestly, Iman Gatsi is even younger, for example, and he's a very big, influence in the world, and he's doing like very well as well. But I think the people in that age, doing everything as soon as possible, like getting all the mistakes as young as possible, is like one of the best things you can do. If you watched Gary Vee, he says like if you're like between 20 and 30, you can't do anything except work, except making failures, like falling down on your face. If you're not doing that and you're doing it on your 30, man, it's never too late. But please, if you're like between 15 and like 25, get the maximum out of it, because these are like the roots that you will carry throughout your whole life, And I just believe that every day I wake up and I say to myself, hey, I'm young. I want to do everything now. Like I don't want to wait like 5 years or 10 years. Like I said, I'm very, very much aware of time. You could be in a car crash. You could have been you lost your arms, or be like dead right now, or be in a hospital, or man, it's so cliche, but you have all the opportunities. You have the biggest blessings of your life. How disrespectful is it towards your creator, or towards life, or towards yourself or your family, to procrastinate and not reach those goals and just like lay down watching Netflix? Oh, everyone is a scam who are trying to help you build up your business, and being in a 9 to 5, and like, how could you do that if you have all these blessings and be healthy and be in an environment where, especially in Holland, have the best opportunities ever? How could you waste your life then? And that's just the way I talk to myself every day. Yeah.
Amazing, man. Such an inspiration for a lot of people, I think.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Sick.
Yeah.
And from the point you were in Phuket, you built your business from 5, 6, 7 figures.
Yeah.
What happened at that point? At one point you started your own brand as well.
Yeah.
I think you were building it a long period of time before it came live, of course.
Yeah.
So it was on the waiting list for a long time.
Yeah.
I think almost a year ago it went live, half a year ago,
something like that. Yeah, but I have a couple brands, so even in that time of period I had a couple brands, but I had only one brand that I showcased on the front end, to my social media and blah blah blah. I think a lot of brand owners, they don't like to expose their brands, so that's why I didn't do that.
They're scared of the quality of their own products, probably.
Not only that, it's just like the world we live in today is just copying and paste, especially in the online business world. But yeah, that eventually I was making success, I was taking money, everything was going well, and then I was thinking like, hey, but is this really my passion? Is this really something that I wake up every day, I get so much joy out of it, etc. And I came to a conclusion, it wasn't really, it was just like a way of an income to live the life that I wanted to live. And then I became a fighter. Then I came like, okay, Muay Thai. I remember my first time going to like a Muay Thai session and saying to my friends, man, do we really want to do this? All the crazy noises they're making and blah, blah. And my friends like, yeah. Oh, we can go back if you want. We don't have to do it. I was like, yo, I was already used to the uncomfort, right? I was like, okay, let's just try it. If you never try, you never know, right? You have nothing to lose. And after my first session, man, the unexpected came, I completely fell in love with fighting. I saw fighting from the first session a way of life. I saw fighting a way of self-development. I saw fighting as a way of who I am, my whole life, how I lived it. And I immediately knew that I have to do this for the rest of my life. This is absolutely my passion. I can do all the other things, but if you want to boost the other things, if you want to put the fuel into it, I think you being a fighter just makes you know so much about yourself, it makes you grow so much in life. And I can't, stand it out more than this, guys, because I think a lot of fighters are looking now and they definitely understand, because they see how much they develop, how much discipline they have, how much they know about themselves, how much confidence they have, and how much, dedication and discipline you get, And that dedication and discipline and all those things that I named up, you can use them again in business, in your personal life, in, you know, so many aspects of your life. So now I just came in a position that I see fighting as the roots of everything. You know, this is my fuel. This is, you know, all the other things are just like the cars I'm driving, but the fuel of it is just like fighting. And yeah.
What is it like? What is it about fighting that it makes you different from every other sport, that it has such a big impact on your personal life? Because I haven't seen it in soccer. I haven't seen it in tennis. I haven't, and maybe fitness a little bit as well. But I think fighting is one place above it as well.
Because you're risking life, man. You can say, hey, I'm playing soccer, I'm playing basketball, I'm playing all the other things, but you can't say I'm playing fighting, I'm playing Muay Thai, I'm playing kickboxing, I'm playing MMA. You know, it's just like you go so much to the edge of living and dying. And I always believe that you have to kill some parts in yourself to eventually live your life. And I saw fighting as something that I was doing my whole life already, you know, from when I was a child. So, yeah.
And from that point on, when you started fighting, your social media blew up as well, right?
Yeah.
Because of the ninja
the
videos
ninja
and all
stuff.
that
Yeah, so I've done like a lot of martial arts my whole life, but
Yeah.
I was doing it out of fun. Taekwondo, tricking, you know, doing flips and stuff since I was like a child. And I always had that dedication, you know, like when I was a child, I was like falling down on my neck, almost breaking my nose, blood nose, but I would keep going, you know, because I'm someone who gets influenced real quick. So if I'm watching or listening to a podcast all day, the things that I hear there, I immediately apply them, you know? I get so influenced so fast. So you can imagine me as a 19 years old who like got so much money and success out of his life that surrounding yourself with the wrong people, you just become the sixth one of all those five wrong people, you know, bad people. So the same with this. I surrounded myself with a lot of fighters, the best of the best in the world. And from that, I just created even more and more fire for myself that, okay, I have to become world champion. You know, I didn't have many fights, but my first pro fight is already coming, you know.
When is it? You can't say it yet, or?
I can say it's around like the end of October, you know, maybe beginning of November.
That's true.
And from that, you know, I'm such in a phase of preparing so much one-on-ones. I think the way a lot of people, they think I've been fighting for 10 years, 15 years because they see the technique. Obviously, any fighter can see the way you punch, the way you spar, if this guy has been for a long time in the game. But I think, you know, doing one-on-ones a lot with your coach instead of just group trainings and all that stuff, working a lot on your weaknesses, turning it into your biggest powers, and surrounding yourself with the right people can give you a huge boost, you know. And I think I had that privilege, so I'm very happy that it happened. And now I'm like looking forward to my first pro fight.
Nice, man. Really sick. You gonna win?
For sure. I already won in my head, you know. Inshallah.
Hey, what's the plan for the? Like you said, I got a bigger vision than I had before. What's your vision from today on, from where you are now to where you want to be in like 5-10 years? What's your vision?
So definitely more podcasts. And yeah, I always wanted to, you know, like overcome my fears. Obviously, I'm a human being. I still have fears. Everyone, you know, even David Goggins, I believe, like the most crazy guy in the world, still has some fears. And I believe if you don't get the maximum out of your life every single day, overcome those fears, do something extremely uncomfortable, you just don't become happy, you know. And I think, you know, growth equals happiness, like Tony Robbins says, and just like getting the maximum out of it. I have some dreams. Well, I want to be like a big speaker. I want to inspire people. I want to travel more. I want to build way more income streams. I want to take care of my family like everyone does, you know. I'm already doing that to a certain degree, but I know that it can be so much more. I'm young, yeah. And definitely the biggest one is become world champion. Yeah. You know, yeah.
UC or?
One championship, you know. So one championship is like the kickboxing and the Muay Thai UFC, you know, instead of MMA, and I think that's definitely like a road that I want to go through, because one championship is like the UFC of Asia, you know, and that's one of my big goals, you know, and I think I can reach it definitely.
That's a big goal.
Yeah.
But you like the uncomfort, so that's good.
Yeah, and I like a challenge, you know, and I know that if you have God on your side, if you have the right people around you, if you have enough experience, and if you have the dedication and you know, and the drive to become the best, you just become it. You have no other way. If you tell yourself, hey, this is it, I'm gonna give everything. At some point, even if it's like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you just know for yourself that you're gonna come on that level, you know, and no doubts about it.
And you said, like, I want to take care of my family as well. I think from maybe the last year, you took your brother with you on traveling.
Oh yeah,
and that kind of stuff.
yeah.
How did that happen? Did he ask you, or did you say, "Come with me"? What happened, and why is he like so close to you at this point?
So me and my little brother, we have. Wow, I don't say like my little brother. He doesn't like the sound of that. I like, yeah. We're like very close, you know, and he looks, you know, exactly like me.
He does actually.
Yeah, a bit uglier, but no. But I think, you know, me and my brother have been always going through rough times. You know, when we were like children, and we had to go like through bottoms and peaks all together, and. At some point when I started traveling, I felt bad, you know, and I had like I still have like a very tight relationship with my brother. And I was like, hey, you know, I can't grow in life, reach all these destinations, meet all these people without my brother on my side, you know. And I think me and him have like a very strong bond. We lift each other up. He's the only one that knows me like from the bottom, how I am. He's the only one that, you know, actually really like pulled me out of those dark times, you know, mentally. And I think he's the only one that can understand me. So yeah, at some point 1 year ago, I think a little bit longer, I just decided to bring him along with me, learned him everything that I learned. We started like working together, we started training together, traveling together, sharing, you know, we grew in religion together as well. We went to Mecca.
I saw that.
Yeah. So that's definitely something that I imagined for myself in 10 years, you know, like going to Mecca, the most holy place in earth, like in Islam, with your own brother is just like the most magical thing you can do, man. And just being there, it absolutely was a life changer. And at that moment, you just realize like, hey, family is everything. You know, you can have so many friends, you can have so many business partners, but there is nothing, you know, the same as your own blood, you know? And yeah, that's the story.
I agree with that, man.
Yeah.
Like totally.
Do you have a brother?
Yeah, I have a little brother as well.
Okay.
And I can fully relate with the things you say. Like at some points, like he's the only one that truly respects you as well, but understands you in some sort of ways you react or respond and that kind of stuff. So I can totally relate with that.
Yeah, it's also the way of, you know, when you're growing through success and stuff and you know, just building your life.
Yeah.
You got a lot of fake people, you know. I think a lot of people can relate. And I think your family, especially your brother, he's the only one that you can think of okay, he can never like want to take everything away from you. You know, he always wants the best for you. Yeah. He always wants to push you. He wants to grow with you, like, but from a very honest and deep
like
perfection.
brotherhood perspective.
Yeah. So it's like very different, and I think that safe and that trust, especially like loyalty and trust, is like the most important thing.
I agree. Yeah. Normally in the podcast we have like the question, what was the moment you have to schouders eronder zetten? That's a Dutch saying. In English it means like you had a moment in your life where you really felt that you want to quit, but you still kept going. What was the moment in your life? What was that moment in your life for you?
The moment when I wanted to quit and give up everything. I think I really didn't have that, man. I didn't have a moment that I wanted to quit or give up or anything, because I knew the only way of giving up is if I would be dead somewhere, And it's just that I never ever had a moment that I was like, yo, I'm going to stop with everything. This is nothing for me. I'm not going to push to the max every day. I really didn't have that. So it's funny that you asked me this question, because I really tried to find an answer for it, like, hey, do I have like a moment that I was like, yo, screw everything, I'm gonna throw in the towel? But I didn't have that moment at all. So even in those bad times, I was the same positive guy as I am today, and in those good times I was the same, like, yeah, the only difference is the decisions that I was making.
So bigger decisions require different
better
choices.
decisions, like the good and the bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think we've discussed like everything we wanted.
I have a question for you.
All right.
What is the reason that you wanted to start this podcast?
It's a good question. I was like making money in sales, like good amount of money, but I felt empty for a way or something like that. I don't know how exactly to explain it, but I felt empty. Like I wanted to do something more. I wanted to give back more.
Did you get energy from doing sales? Did you?
Yeah. I still do it. I like it as my job. I really like what I'm doing because I'm good at it as well. But I wanted to do something bigger. Like I always had the feeling I want to inspire like what you have, I think, inside as well.
But still, sales is like one of the best things to start with. Like,
of course,
like an advice to everybody. If you didn't do sales in your life,
do it.
I don't know what you're doing with your life, because it's like it's a way of learning how to communicate with people. It's a way of living your whole life, you know, like everything is sales. If I'm offering you a water, is sales. If I want to go and buy a car, is a sales. If I want to, like everything in life is sales. And if you didn't go through that, please, sales jobs are one of the best things you can start with.
It's the number one skill you have to learn in your life to book
Absolutely.
a little bit of success. Like the start of your success starts with sales.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man.
It's the same with the podcast. Like sales is like listening and asking the right questions. That's with the podcast as well. It's like it brought me further in my podcast process as well, because I'm skilled to listen and ask the right questions where people can dig deeper into their emotions, into their feeling, instead of keeping it like really flat and don't go into the depth of a conversation. But yeah, like I said, I wanted to do more. I wanted to inspire, and then I found out I wanted to do a podcast, but I didn't want to do a standard podcast like an entrepreneur podcast, because there are so many already. I want to do something personal with it. I want to have a personal connection with me, but also with the guest who's coming. Then I started a program with Bas Bilts and Jorik Wiete from Life Lab. You know them? And like we were getting so deep into my personal past as well. What happened to me? What happened to me that made me the person I am today? And then every time the loss of my father came back as well. And when he got like diagnosed with ALS, the first thing he said is, you have to put your schouders onder it. In the Dutch saying. What was it, Benny? Put your shoulders to the wheel. It's like the English saying. That's what he said at the first day he got diagnosed with it.
Damn, that's definitely something that sticks around.
Yeah, so that's why I was thinking, all right, that's something personal with me. And also, every person can relate to them, because everyone has had something in their past which wasn't really good or nice, or
like a trauma.
Yeah, like a trauma, that kind of stuff. So I doubted in the beginning because I didn't want to be seen as pathetic and using my father as a marketing tool in that kind of way. But then I thought, I am the only person who knows that I don't do that for that reason, because I do it for the good. I don't use it as marketing or whatever. It's because I have the feeling I want to do it. And if I know it, fuck everybody else's opinions, and I'm going to start it. So yeah, that's why we started this a year ago, like almost 1.5 years ago. And now, we're building, man.
Amazing. So after you figured out for yourself and you went all the way to your past in order to, build your future, and you saw what that did with you, you fell in love and you found like a formula, and you thought like, okay, I want to apply this the same way to others, like big names or whatever, you know, and inspire people in that way. So I find it,
that's
congrats to you, man. Like,
thanks, man. Good. Yeah, it's really nice. Like I've spoken to people I would have never, probably would have never talked to if I didn't start the podcast. So yeah, that's something that you have to take in mind as well. Once you start something and you go all in, and that's what we do, then you're gonna achieve things that other people seem impossible. Yeah, and that's so nice to see. Like I've seen with one of the biggest names of the Netherlands. I've talked to them on this table. And same with you. Yeah,
you learn so much from those conversations. Podcasts are also like one way of sales, you know, that
of course,
it's a very great thing to connect with people like high value men or successful guys or, you know, people that are so inspiring just to learn from them. So podcasts, that's a very, very good idea to do, you know, like.
Same with you. Like this is the first podcast in English as well. I was first a little bit in doubt. Should I do this? But I thought the same with you. Get in the uncomfort zone and make sure you just do it and you learn from it. And
man, you did very good, man. Like for your first time in English, it's like perfect, you know. So I think not a lot of people gonna hate on you and stuff.
And if they do, fuck them.
We don't care. You tried your absolute best, and that's the most important thing in life, you know. So
sure.
Yeah, man.
Nice. Do you have other questions or?
So one last question. That just popped on my mind, like right now. As a person, you know, as a person, like nothing extern, just like deep, like intern. What did change the most from Daan, who was like 5 years younger, and Daan that is in front of me right now?
The biggest thing that changed in my, like, inside of me was don't worry about a lot of things. Because of the death of my father as well, I see things as they are. I don't put a lot of emotions into it. I just see the things as they are, and it gives me a lot of rest. But for some people around you, if they have like a problem, you say, it's a problem. How can we fix it? They want to be here. They want to be heard. Instead of you are with your problem solving looking into it. But that's something that changed because of the situation. But that's the biggest thing that changed me, I think. Like, just see things as they are and don't put too much emotions to it or worry about.
Because usually, most of the times, we live in the perspectives of others. You know, I actually like read this quote the other day, and it went like this. So, with the view we have in life, you know, as a person, is that you don't see yourself as you see yourself. You don't also see yourself as somebody sees you. You see yourself as you think that somebody is seeing you. So do you
I know what
follow?
You mean.
So you live your life by the thinking of the perspective someone is having of you. You know, so that's like something very deep. If you have something on your shirt, like a mustard, you know, something mustard or something, you know, like you have a dirty shirt, and you walk somewhere inside, and you're like thinking about the dirty shirt, like shit, I hope they don't see my shirt like all messy and dirty and stuff. That becomes your reality, you know, and you have to leave things as they are, like you said, because it's just like we are living so much in our head these times, you know, and so many times you were thinking of somebody the way he was thinking about something, and then that becomes your reality. But in 95% of the times, that situation, that wasn't even reality, that wasn't even real, you know. So you just created by your mind, you know, and that's just like a very interesting thing.
It's true, but I also think like what you said is like you're created by your mind, but you're also like a product of your parents, because you are you as a kid, your parents are doing things, saying things to you that you have to do because they were taught it that way as well, and that will go on in every generation.
School as well,
like everything. You're a product of your environment.
I genuinely believe that you get born perfect as a baby, and then after that you get like many people, they get traumas, they get bullied, they get like problems, they get like accidents, they get like so many things in their life until they are like 15, maybe 20 years old, and then bam, they come on a position that, hey, okay, this is not the way I want to live my life. And then the next 10 years, from 20 years old until 30, they're just like busy reprogramming. Okay, I have to change this the way it was taught to me. And I want to change this and that because I have a total different way of living my life, you know? And yeah, it's very funny. And I believe that most people, they start actually living their life when they are 30, you know, because then they develop themselves completely. They reprogram themselves as well. They know who they are. They know what they want. And yeah, from the age of between 25, 30, 35, you actually start living your life. So yeah.
Do you think that every person when they are 30 are doing that? Or do you think that some people also think, yeah, all right, it's good.
Absolutely not. Yeah. You know, you always have those, you know, criteria of people that when they are 40, then their 30 years old starts, you know, or some people even when they are 50. Bro, I have like some people in the one-on-one coaching with e-commerce and everything. And the mindset coaching that we give, there are a lot of people who are like over 45, 50 that they have the same mindset as somebody who's just starting off, you know? And I'm like, you know, at some point I'm feeling sorry for them, but on the other side, I'm also extremely proud of them that they're still taking that step on such a late age.
Better late than never.
Better late than never, man. You just like, when you're doing it when you're 50, 45, 55, 60, you can't be thinking like, oh, it's too late or anything. The best way to think of it is just like, oh, now I'm like really inspiring people. Now I'm truly living to myself, you know? Now I'm proving that it's never too late, you know? And it's always a good step. So yeah, man.
Amazing.
Make something out of your life, always.
That's a good way to end the conversation, the podcast.
Absolutely, man.
I'm going to thank you for showing up, for coming here.
You're welcome,
It was
man.
a pleasure. And we will talk to each other soon.
Yeah, man.
Enjoy Bali.
Thank you, man. Thank you, guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for listening. Just give me a follow, subscribe, leave a like and a comment as well, and then we're gonna see each other in the future. All right, bye.